Hi, everybody. We are in the Advent season and we are preparing to celebrate Christmas in another 3.5 weeks. It is a time when we remember the birth of Jesus and all the associated programs that we have in terms of carol singing, and finally we sing Silent Night, Holy Night as the last song of that program. But even as we are preparing for Christmas, we do forget a lot of underlying truths that are leading to Christmas. For example, we forget the fact that Herod killed a lot of children. We forget that Joseph could have divorced Mary and there would have been other consequences. In fact, the Bible says that Joseph was a righteous man and he planned to divorce Mary secretly. This is an intriguing kind of situation. We would wonder, why would he want to divorce her secretly to avoid disgrace and scandal? That's what it says. And he was considered a righteous man. His righteousness is basically due to the fact that he could have easily brought it out into the public domain and he could have made a scandal out of it because he was the wronged person. He had everything to complain about. His wife was carrying somebody else's child and he had no knowledge about it. So if he wanted, he could have made a public scandal out of this. But being a just and righteous man, he planned to divorce her secretly. What does that mean? To divorce her secretly would mean that he would not publicize the fact that this was not his child. It would mean to the general public that the child she was carrying was his, and whatever reasons there may have been for divorce, it was definitely not the fact that she was pregnant by somebody else. This kind of action from Joseph's side prevented her being stoned to death or even for her being scandalized, because it would have been known that she was carrying his child. And that is why the Bible says that Joseph was a righteous person, was a just person. What do we mean by righteousness? Jesus says, Blessed are those that hunger and thirst for righteousness. They shall be filled. What is righteousness? We can see righteousness from various angles. And in fact, what Jesus says is, let your righteousness exceed the righteousness of the Pharisees and the scribes. The Pharisees and the scribes looked at the external aspects of the law, or any event for that matter. In fact, the woman who was brought to Jesus for being stoned for committing adultery would have been stoned had it not been that he brought out a greater understanding about morality, about legality, and more so about righteousness. He said, let him who is without stone throw the first stone. Without sin, throw the first stone. Righteousness is more than about being legally or morally right. In fact, it is more than about the conscience, because our conscience can be framed, or our conscience can be based on what our beliefs are, what our understandings are. And if our understandings and beliefs are narrow and constricted and does not include the compassion of God, obviously our conscience would be based on that. So we cannot base righteousness on conscience. Of course, conscience has a role to play, but conscience is a very subjective understanding. Righteousness is not like that. Righteousness is based on the understanding of the love of God, on the understanding of the situation, on the understanding that we cannot judge anybody based on merely an act or a thought or a word, but we have to look at the background. We have to understand the background. And that is what Jesus does. When the lady is brought to him, he does not condemn her. He says, where are those that condemned you? And he says, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. So righteousness is much more than what we see within the framework of a moral or a legal understanding. And that is why Joseph was considered righteous. He saw beyond the legal aspect, beyond the 10 commandments, beyond the moral understandings that any person could have rightly understood. He sees that there is a greater truth that he may not know of, for which he has to take responsibility. In our life situations, when Jesus says, "Blessed are they that hunger and thirst for righteousness," he uses two words that are very physical. To hunger is to the need for food. You need food for metabolism. To thirst, you need water, because if your cells need to survive, there has to be water. I'm sure he didn't mean all the biological, technical aspects of it. He just spoke a physical truth. To hunger and thirst for righteousness. That means that the very being of the person should seek to be right with God. To be right with God is what it means to be righteous. So when we are righteous, we think about everything within the framework and through the eyes and mind of God. That is the important part. Christmas should teach us that. Christmas should teach us to be righteous in the eyes of God, not righteous in our own eyes, or in the eyes of society, or in the eyes of those who would praise us. That is not righteousness. Righteousness is what is right, not merely what is true. It may be true, but is it right? In the story of the bishop's candlesticks, the person was caught with the candlesticks. He had stolen it, but when it is brought to the bishop, the bishop says, "I gave it to him." Oh, you'll say that he told a lie. Of course he told a lie. But there was a greater truth to that lie. Here was a man who was unable to handle his own life, who possibly was poor, who didn't have any means of livelihood, and who had taken a stance that possibly this is the way he could survive or his family could survive. This does not mean that what he did was wrong. It only means that there's a greater truth behind what we see superficially. Righteousness goes into the deeper truth. I hope this Christmas we are able to hunger and thirst so deeply for God's righteousness that every act of ours, every thought of ours, every word of ours is flavored with the righteousness of God. That is when we find blessedness. That is when we cherish and we become filled with the righteousness of God. We don't become Pharisaic, we don't become hypocritical, we don't be the better than the other person kind of attitude, but we live in the humility that Jesus teaches us to have. May God bless us this Christmas to bring ourselves within the expansive framework of God's righteousness. God bless you.